Maneva na say ma PENDREAM TV. PENDREAM TV there osia dem yopo.
A Minister of Trade will be handed a blank check to deny those who are not in his good books. So if the minister thinks that you don't look pretty or nice, he can decide to refuse you licenses and create powerful trade cartel who will monopolize the importation of this essential product. And I'm not sure no one here wants the minister to create these cartels in our economy. And these cartels, if created, will not be a good news for ourselves. This has the potential of creating supply chain disruptions and shortages of certain goods in the economy and its concomitant effect on inflation of certain goods and services. The NDC holds the view that the right to import essential commodities into the country cannot be limited on the whims and caprices of a Minister of Trade and Industry, his deputy, or a certain import permit committee, which will be constituted by the minister responsible for trade under Regulation 2 of the proposed regulations that is before Parliament. The alternative view of the NDC on this matter is as follows. 1. Where there is a credible data exists to show that Ghana has adequate domestic capacity to produce a particular product, or where the consumption of a product has been proven to be injurious to public health or safety, government can simply place a ban on the importation of such product into the country. For example, I've heard people saying that Yemadia should be banned and it's not good for us and it should not be imported into our economy. The question is, if there is evidence proven by experts that it is against our health and is injurious to our health, then the government should do what is required to do, but not necessarily restricting the importation. You can equally ban it if you think that is what you should do. However, where a particular product has not been proven to be harmful to public health or safety, and there is no credible data to show that enough domestic capacity exists to meet the demand for that product, government can regulate the importation of that product in two main ways. One of the ways is to introduce a transparent quota system for the importation of certain products, as was done by the elsewhere NDC John Mahama administration in the poultry sector. During that time, a quota system requires a prospective importer of a particular product to first show proof of utilizing existing local capacity by procuring a certain percentage of his intended import volumes locally. When the elsewhere NDC John Mahama government realized that the local poultry industry has the capacity to meet about 20% of our local consumption, the then government introduced the 40% rule in the poultry industry in the year 2014, which required that poultry importers to produce at least 40% of their total stock from local poultry pitches. Let me take this again. In 2014, what we did required poultry importers to purchase at least 40% of their total stock from local poultry farmers. This policy was implemented alongside the Ghana Broiler Project and other incentives for local poultry farmers aimed at enhancing the domestic production of poultry. Another mechanism that can be used to regulate import with the aim of protecting the indigenous industry is the imposition of tariff and non-tariff measures on certain products to encourage the patronage and consumption of locally produced commodities. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a known fact that trade volumes at our port have dropped drastically under the failed Akufo-Addo and Bawumia government due to high duties and taxes. Similarly, smuggling of goods out of Ghana to other neighboring countries has intensified due to the porous nature of our borders. The obnoxious legislative instrument before Parliament will exacerbate these problems and negatively impact livelihood and the economy as a whole. As you may be aware, the insensitive Akufo-Addo government is also seeking to introduce a new raft of draconian tax measures on the already impoverished Ghanaians on the back of the 2024 budget. These tax measures, which are currently before Parliament, include the following: an imposition of VAT on non-life insurance, such as motor or car insurance, marine insurance, fire insurance, building insurance, goods in transit. Let me take this again. You may be aware that before Parliament, there's a number of tax measures already that the minister responsible for finance, representing His Excellency the President and the Vice President, Alhaji Bawumia, has submitted to Parliament for approval. And some of these taxes include the following. They are imposing a VAT on all non-life insurance, such as motor cars. So if you are going to buy car insurance, you pay VAT. If you are buying marine insurance, you pay VAT. If you are buying fire insurance, you pay VAT. You pay VAT on your building insurance. You pay VAT on goods in transit, and many more non-life insurance. He has also imposed 5% VAT flat rate on residential and commercial real estate. Ladies and gentlemen, Ghanaians should get ready to pay 5% VAT anytime you buy a house from an individual or a real estate company. Going forward, if this law goes through, the VAT before Parliament goes through, if you intend to buy a house, get ready to put 5% aside for President Akufo-Addo and Alhaji Bawumia. Because every house you buy going forward, you will pay 5% VAT on the quantum of the amount that you are supposed to buy. So if it is 1 million Ghana cedis house you are buying, you will pay 50,000 Ghana cedis to President Akufo-Addo and Alhaji Bawumia. He's also imposing taxes on textbooks, VAT on textbooks, exercise books, newspapers, publications, architectural plan, scientific and technical works, magazines, periodicals, calendars, trade catalog, price list, diaries, and stationery. So including pens, stationery including pen and paper, you pay VAT on them. They are also imposing VAT on domestic air travel. So if you are going to Kumasi, Takoradi, or Tamale, and you decide to use aeroplane, you will pay VAT on those products. Passion, whatever. All domestic airlines will now attract VAT. Imposition of VAT on domestic transportation of passengers by road, rail, and water. So if you charter a car, get ready, you will pay VAT. There's no strong railway system, but it says the rail and water as well. You end up paying VAT. There's an increase in stamp duty rates across board. Again, there's a new tax measure also before Parliament called Excise Duty Amendment Bill. And the new Excise Duty Amendment Bill seeks to increase the excise duty on cider beer from 20% to 47% of ex-factory price. So those of you that consume things such as Savannah, you'll be paying Heineken cider beer. It's going to go up from 20% to 47%. And of ex-factory price, same as Apeteshi, you pay 20% tax on Apeteshi. I don't know how they are going to get the Apeteshi tax for. The bill also seeks to introduce excise duty of 100 Ghana cedis per annum for all petrol and diesel vehicles. Diesel and petrol vehicles going forward, each one of them will be paying 100 Ghana cedis. And this is what they call the internal combustion engine vehicles. And this includes all private cars, trotro, Uber cars, taxis, motorcycles, Aboboya, Prajia, Okada, Mahama Kandu. All of them will end up paying 100 Ghana cedis. Mahama Kandu, if you go to the north, it's very popular there. Mahama Kandu, yellow. Then we have the Okada, Prajia, Aboboya, motorcycles, taxis, Uber, Trotro, articulators. Every car that uses diesel and petrol and registered at the DVLA, 100 Ghana cedis, no exemption. Ambulance, the car, including Hess, all of them, you end up paying that kind of tax. This particular tax, as I've mentioned, is regressive, since all vehicles will pay the same amount of 100 Ghana cedis per year, whether you are using a V8 articulator or an Uber car. And that is how regressive the tax is. Why should someone that has the money and is able to buy V8 pay the same 100 Ghana cedis as the person that is using Okada or Prajia or yellow, okay, or Mahama Kandu? I mean, it shows that this tax is nothing but a very regressive tax. Furthermore, the bill seeks to introduce excise duty of 100 Ghana cedis per ton of carbon dioxide emission by industry. So what this simply means is that if you are a company and you produce smoke, carbon dioxide smoke emission, they'll come and measure it. I don't know how they will measure it. And if they measure it, a ton of the emission, you pay 100 Ghana cedis. 1 ton, 100 Ghana. So if you produce 50 tons, 50 times 100, 50 times 100. So they will come there and measure the smoke, the wusuo. If the wusuo is that big, then they will give you 100 Ghana cedis. And probably they will use a size like that. And if it's that big, 100, that big, 200, another big, 400. So depending on the size of the wusuo you produce, you will be paying tax of 100 Ghana cedis per ton. My colleague, Honorable Adongo, says this is an Nwusuo tax. Nwusie tax. It's a tax for smoke. And so be careful. Don't generate smoke in your bedroom, else you end up paying Nwusie tax. Ladies and gentlemen, amid all these taxes, it is our considered view, we the NDC, that these regulations are regressive, counterproductive, and have the potential to breed corruption, just like the days of the essential commodity and price control. And I'm sure most of you here, you may not have witnessed the price control regime those days, including myself, but we may have heard of it. And the days of Kalabule and what it did. President Akufo-Addo and Alhaji Bawumia seeks to bring Kalabule back into our economy. Clearly, the proposed legislative instrument on the import restrictions is completely unwarranted and unwelcome. We in the NDC cannot welcome this legislative instrument. Already, importers and business community have amply demonstrated how these regulations lack broad consultation and consensus. We therefore call on government to withdraw these regulations immediately and broaden its engagement with all key stakeholders. We call on the Trade Union Congress, the TUC, the civil society organizations, the CSOs, traditional authorities, the clergy, such as the Catholic Bishop Conference, the Apostolic Fathers, and all clergy, chief imam, and everyone else, and all progressive forces to speak up and join the NDC minority to reject this obnoxious import restriction regulation in the supreme interest of our dear country. Colleagues, we can't fight this alone. We in the NDC in Parliament cannot fight this alone. The Constitution is clear on this matter. Before we torpedo this legislative instrument through parliamentary process, it will require 2/3 majority to overturn it. The NDC members, our number is 137. We do not have 2/3. And so we alone cannot stop this. So far, we have used strategies in Parliament to curtail the laying. It cannot continue. All what we are asking is that we can't do this alone. So join us, our brothers and sisters from the media, join us. Let us stop this obnoxious legislative instrument that seeks to ransack and create opportunity for others to make money. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So if you have questions in English, this is the time for you to ask the questions before we move to the pre-presentation. Do we have any questions in English on leader's presentation? If you do, you tell me your name, your media house, and you keep your question. All right, thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Norwina with TV3. So the minority leader mentioned that so far they've been able to stall the laying. What is the current state now? Because based on calculations, it appears that if it is laid now, the constitutionally mandated 21 days, it might not reach. And we know also yesterday there was an engagement.
It might not reach. I don't understand.
It will not mean the 21-day constitutional, based on the calculations for the House
to rise. But they will obviously resume.
Well, that's one of the opinions. Was the reason for which there's a suggestion that the trade minister might not leave. But on outside of that, he says that he wants Ghanaians to join in the support in rejecting this bill. Is it the case that there aren't any laid down processes to which, as the minority side with their members, they can tackle this head on?
All right.
Outside of the technicalities that he's mentioned, and also what the outcome of the engagement with the trade unions was yesterday as well.
So 3 questions. Thank you. Any other? Okay, so leader will address these 3. If you have a question, kindly come forward. Yeah, sure. Yes. All right.
I want to find out from the leader, what measures are there? What gap can the public fill in order to press against this particular thing?
All right. You want specifics? All right. Okay. I think that will be all. That'll be all. Thank you. So minority leader will deal with these questions and then we shall move to the presentation. Thank you. Thank you. Let me start with from the last question. What gap can the public fill? First, let it be noted that this bill has passed cabinet, the cabinet of President Akufo-Addo and Alhaji Bawumia. Let it also be known that this bill couldn't have been submitted by KT Amon if the president and the vice president, in fact, Alhaji Bawumia, does not agree to this. So it is a bill from the president and his vice president, Alhaji Bawumia. That is a fact. So what we are asking you to fill, the gap is that speak out as a citizen of Ghana, someone who cares about our country. Demonstrate, shout hard for the president to hear that, please, Mr. President, this your policy is in bad taste and that it will not help our country. If you do that, the one who sent the minister, first of all, the Minister of Trade is actually operating under the license of President Akufo-Addo and Alhaji Bawumia, isn't it? And it is only his authority or their authority that the minister responsible for trade is presenting this before Parliament. And in fact, this trade restriction has gone through the economic management team meeting. Because the Minister of Trade is a member of the economic management team. And this is chaired by Alhaji Bawumia. So it's Dr. Bawumia who has approved this to be laid. And so I urge you, as media men and women, I urge you, as civil society organization, the Trade Union Congress, the clergymen, please join us in shouting, let's mount pressure for the government to withdraw this, because it breaches all protocols that we have signed, the treaties that we have signed, including the recent IMF agreement. It breaches all protocols that we have actually ratified. So please, that is the gap that is missing. Oftentimes, impressions are created that it's only the NDC that should fight. We have fought enough. Until you join us, we'll lose this battle. We don't want to lose this battle. Join us so that we don't lose this battle. Because it's a battle for the people of Ghana and not for ourselves. It's for all of us. So join us and let's fight. And then lastly, the state of the airline. As we speak, the Minister for Trade and Industry is in Parliament, trying everything possible to lay it. The reason why you can only see two of us here, myself and the ranking member for Trade and Industry, is that we want the rest to be there. So we are fighting all angles whilst we are addressing the media. The man is there trying to lay it. So colleagues must stay back and fight there whilst we fight here. So we are calling on you to join us in the fight. Because the truth is that if we allow him to lay it, 21 working days or parliamentary sitting days, this will become a law. And if it becomes a law, you need only two-thirds majority to overturn it. We don't have it. Two-thirds is about 180 something, huh? We have 37, and we have 137, so we cannot actually overturn it. And I can assure you, until we do something, the minister responsible for trade and industry will stop at nothing. He will lay this and it will become a law. In the end, Ghana will be the one that will lose, and not just the NDC. All of us will lose together. So we brought this matter to you to help us in the fight. Don't leave it to only us. We'll fight with you, and with your help, we can win it together. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Minority Leader. I'll do a quick summary of the presentation in P. If you have any question in P, you can ask. Our ranking member is here, and we'll share a brief word on this whole fight. He's been in the thick of affairs before we wrap up by exactly 3 p.m. Nti abusuanfo a yɛhyia wɔ ha. Te sɛ deɛ yɛka ndifo a wɔ mmarahyɛbadwam Dr. Atufo Sen akyerɛkyerɛ mu no. Ɛyɛ aniberesɛm nti na nnɛ yɛhyia wɔ ha. Mpanyin sɛ anibere nsogya ɛnyɛ saa ka mbɛhu sɛ yɛn nyina yɛni ayɛ kɔɔ. Ni nyina ne sɛ ɔmampanyin Akufo Addo ne Alhaji Bawumia aban yi ɔmakɔ akɔhyehyɛ mmrabɔne bi a ɔmo yɛ deɛ ɔmo betumi bia sɛ ɔmo de bɛkɔ mmarahyɛbadwam na aba bɛyɛ mmara. Na abusuafoɔ sɛ saa mmara wei yɛtena ase de yɛn nsa hyɛ yɛ dam ne fam ɛyɛ ahwɛhan ɛma ne bɛyɛ mmara ɛwɔ Ghana ha. Ahokyerɛ ɛne abɛdidi a ɛde ba bɛto ɔmanfo so no ɛsɛ w'ani. Nipa saa mmara wei ɛbɛgu wɔ n'adwuma ɛsɛ wɔ n'ani. Nipa saa mmara wei ɛbɛma wɔ n'ano aduane abɔ wɔn ɛsɛ wɔ n'ani. Nipa saa mmara wei ɛbɛsɛ wɔ nnwuma. Mmara wei kata ahyehyɛ prɔyɛ dream kankan yɛ de bɛbɔ ɔman Ghana mu no. Ɛbɛkyɛn kalabule mmerɛ no kata ahyehyɛ ne prɔyɛ a ekutia ɔman wei mpuntu. Ɛno nti na nnɛ yɛmmra hyɛ bedwafoɔ ɔmo kan difoɔ ɛyɛ Dr. Atufo Sen ɔmo agya ɔmo bibia hɔ. Sɛ ɛko no ɔmo akubia. Deɛ wɔsɔ ɔmo yɛ bia de kutia mmara wei ɔmo ayɛ bia wɔ mmra hyɛ bedwam. Ba de ho ahia sɛ ɔmo gye brɛ ɛne mo nsɛmtwerɛfoɔ a mo na mo kadia ɔmanfoɔ nyinaa te. Mo na mo kadia ɛwɔ mu no. Ɔmo ni mo bɛdi saa nkita ho wei. Na yɛkyerɛkyerɛ nsɛm ni mu kyerɛ mo. Na mo so maboa ama Ghanafoɔ ate ama yɛn nyinaa yɛasɔ yɛgyina sɛ Debi emra we die eni se eba so. Na obi beka se emra be ne ye ka ho asem. Emra ye ka ho asem yi obroni frɛ no legislative instrument ela. Na de emra yi ede ba ne se emra ni nya be ye emra. Wa wo pese wo de enyema bi firi amano ne ba Ghana enyema ne mebudi. Sa enyema no pese wo di firi amano ne ba Ghana de di kan uni kwan se wo kra sa enyema ne ba Ghana. Aje se wa ye krata akoma soafo a ohwedwadie so minister for trade na wa ma wo license and a permit ansana watumi akra sa enyema na ba. Na wo apply sa wo permit ya wo betua sika nti ye beji wo sika titiri die license fee wo betua wo saka permit no so a emre da so permit ni wu a wo betua sika titiri die e de renew na permit no wo apply a ebekọ nipa be du ba ko nsem committee ba so ko bi a minister na eyi omo se omo hwehwe wo application ni mu no mo ma no eho afutuo omo ma no omo adwenkyere se committee eyo mo hwehwe mu wie no mo de omo adwenkyere na omo afutuo ma minister na eya adwenkyere minister ne pa obefa opa onfa obi antumi nya ne hwe enti saa nyeme ya meba bebodi wo pese wodi bi ba agye se why application tin o ma kire nyeme wo sa wode ba nyina na ba so ko na hwehwem e de o ma dwenkyira ko ma minister no hwe o ma dwenkyire na o se magia tu mema o permit me pa me ma o permit enyema ba ne ye ka ho asem de di kan eye mo de etoso mienu eye yemuade de etoso miensa eye akokọ portrait ho nyema de etoso biem eye anwa a ye de emwa ana vegetables aduane aye de etoso miensa margarine de etoso biem fruit juice de etoso biem doko nsa te se coke sprite don simo fruit juice de keka ho nyina ensu aye no mineral water person de bi fra ma no ne ba ceramic tiles paper ye de adwuma ene paper board mosquito coil any insecticides kumtuntum preko semina ene powder ye de si nyema bi iron and steel na de car dealers ntie car dealers amwo Ghana nyina sese wuntumi fa car magana biem agye se udi mra yi so se mra yi nya be ye mra na wokọ nipa ba ko pe ho minister of trade ona yeso afọ hwedwadie so na wokọ ya application tintintin etua sika ema ba so ko hwehwem e de o ma dwenkyere koma no na ono ateki decision se wogi tum wo se fata se wo de car ba Ghana ana wo nsem fata baby diapers fish esichire noodles chesetalia entire biscuits canned tomatoes ene enyema yede alumi aye enyema dos bibiri na sa nyema we nyina no wo apply utua ho sika na yede o license ne ma wo kra eda ba ko minister betimi asori aka se waye bibi ama ni buafu nti wo license no wo twem emra no man sa tumi no utumi revoke license at any time na mra ne say minister no apply for license the one farm ma and our license ni wu na wo kwa ko renew na eno so wan renew amount and our license no osore dakro na o si watwamu a uni baby akọ baby obetumi akọ ane say age se wo sanso eye review application ekoma sa minister na nti minister no obeye judge ono abedi ono anasem asu se wo license na watwam ana wo license na wan fa ma no ese fata na ensem fata no ono an be di sa asem no abua odi wie na eno so wo mpena untumi nyehwe na moa mohwe enne minister for trade ya otiwe papa ya friend KT Hamondi Nancy oba bonte beka say memoa ne maba we wo Ghana yeti kono nyansa bi anu na wo hwe papa ese no si kasa ne se no si ye ne ne na ye hyemra bi sei di tumi bi sei mano abusuafo yen ka no krenchire won say de ne bi si. This is the seriousness of the matter we are talking about. Obroni say power corrupts, but absolute power corrupts absolutely. Odi tumi we nyina ko mani pa ba ko nti ono wo hwe ne yire na wan hwe ne yie kura ono wo asem wo koje ne gela ono wo asem wo hwe wanim na wo ya NDC ni ana ya CPP ni wo no ne party a ono wo asem ba so koyi obo baba benya tumi a omo ka se fa we bra ansa ne ama license a wo betua wo bosia kura wo ba akọbọ no wetua enya sa license no wo nsanka enya sa wo ko renew a wo nsanka. License no ko etimi gifru nsem enti asem fa ye nyina ho hwe nipa e wo Ghana mo de mo ba Ghana komakola komalata kokejetia ene mu nyina nipa ba ko na e ba be kire se wo benya license akokra mo aba na wo nya license na it is not only about the license o adekọ na wo kwa akode kwa akoba no ma wo license ni mpo a ne dodo a wo betumi di aba no so no na be kire. Inti emo no betimi akaza wo mehwe wani mu a wonye emo no one container untimi fa de chance amba ohwe wani mu a wo se wo talia no wo 3 container inti ni party fo a wo betimi de 20 containers we are wo de ba kon. That is even if they give you the license. Emra we emra yemu bi ani fie yanti bi mpanyinsem da se di se ni mpreduasa teteni mpo anaga na nko nanim sei e maka bi ma mi nka di enyina sei na sojafo di enso ane ye wo kalabule no na ntesa enti se ye makwan ma de we ekoso a de di kan ye di dream pro ye kankan ne krono na eba ko nipa kakra bi na tumi na kodi omunsam omoka se fasika bra no amfa ma wonya bi de etoso mienu ebe ma nipa kakra bi anya tumi e de asesa nipa hyebre e de ditami obi anu aduane adenti ene wo se yesa adenti ne wo se ye ma wo kwan ma emrabo ni bi se eba na hyehyɛ enye NDC amanyo kunku a ene ya sori etia Ghana Union of Traders Association Gutafo o makasa etia Fabag for a Food and Beverages Association of Ghana almost we ye hyehyɛ bonia edi musuo oyene ene ahokyere e de ba beto Ghana for so Importers and Exporters Association exporters o omunyina asemre enye afi Ghana Institute of Freight Forwarders omo clear nyema wo port omo semre eyemra bone Chamber of Automobile Dealership Ghana omo de car seba omo so omo ku omo do omo so semre nye ena muntie ha yi Ghana National Chamber of Commerce and Industry che say ekuo ba ko wo Ghana omo de eba mfidudwuma omo da no omo ye sade na no e wo Ghana omo mpo na aban ne sie se wo ye mra we ama omo no omo se mra we di adabraka ye gitumu a enye yi but e kamia ye se sankoko nyina de petition come parliament no omo nyina o mate ena obi ehwe de ono abo atofo sen ene ono abo Suleiman na Yusuf ene NDC mra hye bedwafo be ye hu demonstrations a ekoso ye hu kasabia ekoso because nipa bebre ntie and I don't ye fasa akonya we so amansam twofo matibi na ye nyina ya so de agina because to me a minister any alaji ba wo mi ade ye san hyehye boni e ye ne de mawo na se ye nyina ye kan wo bom ye se mra we ye mra boni ye mpene so a ye bedi nkunim mo kai new parliamentary chamber aban we ye so obesi ya no ye den on social media ka say drop the chamber, they drop the chamber and self-futu nene Dr. Atofos ni NDC amanyuku ya de magana fo nyina enkase emfa wo ho because e bia na woton mo woton indomie woton noodles woton semina ibi woton nyema mabobodin wadwuma ne ye ba beje free wuse enisi yetena ho emasa amra we eba na de eye ya na abufu kranti a ye sansen twofo nhia mu ni se aban ne den hyehyɛ bɔne we ba di ahokyɛ ba beto ye so no at the same time ye ni bɔne a ye de aya Alhaji Bawumia wasan so akukyire emra ebura duasa awu nkrata so a ɔde akɔmra hye bedwemu a ye ne mo kase ɔmo ye de ɔmo betumi bia sɛ dole kia ne ken emra no mbe pass na mra no ebi ne de ye minority leader ebobo so sɛ enei aban no ede VAT ba ye de ba beto insurance so insurance any life insurance they say we call insurance for your car truck drivers Uber drivers taxi drivers private cars mo kwa kutua ehun VAT o kwa insurance for ofie obetua enyema bi na wo pese wo insure obetua mo VAT we ye bra foforo aban no Bawumia edeba aban ya wode hyehyɛ bɔ ne yibe ya ene ya mene mo kase wasan so the VAT aba on adan ya yesisi ni Ghana etonton rent tie na wo kwa rent real estate efie bi ana wo kwa to efie bi a efie ne buo na wo betua ni nyina 5% aban na je o rent so a 5% we rent tax inti wo rent na wo tua no say 10,000 na nado or je 500 Ghana cedis 5 million rent VAT no o koto dan 1 billion a emu 5,000 ye 50 million sika dada no waje ti hwe omo ton $9 okuru mu a na nehwe omo ka omo bo ansa no matimi esi dan aton dan no kura si ebesi wache se wo de besia na esi dan na besia no kura hunsi hu we ebewew na wo ton dan ni wi a san na wo benya waton dan no $500,000 a aban ne say obejo 5% which is $25,000. Can you imagine this? Enya no nko efititi ayeye VAT ye wonyema bia aban se ye pesika de aban pesika ye mpuntu obenye sika bia ne sika sebi mpanyin se kom de wa na no nkyerɛ se fansa mienu didi enuti ye VAT mra ne nyema bi wo ho a ya mfa VAT anyeden anto so because anyema ne ye nyema ewu hia obi ehia bi enne Alhaji Bawumia oni akufu ado abedi asumfie nsumuni omanya sika cha aban bia abo besia cha aban bia omampanyin Mills omampanyin Mahama evie nwotwe okeka sika omunya ye nyina bomu a 271 billion cedis Alhaji Bawumia ne akufu ado mfie nsu omanya 1 trillion ene akire anso omadi sika ni nyina wi ama ene Ghana ye kakra ye ntumi ntua omu wie ya omo se nyema ye ntua so VAT no ene de omo beje ye VAT enti exercise book a otoma wo ba ene wo betua VAT no e 15% exercise book textbook ya de be man ko dai 5 years ni since ye de new curriculum ba aban fa din ko e de awofo kwa akoto no so a o de VAT ato so newspaper fo amwa chronicle fo graphic fo daily guide munyina enquire munyina ye de VAT beto 15%. Na VAT no kura ni won newspaper na ye to do say. Na yes also the 15% e ba beto. This is why we must rise up. It's about all of us. Publications, books. Just obi ebe sini dan ya why architectural drawing why na drawing say we na me de ba be sini dan no. Drawing no so Bawumia so beje VAT. Drawing, architectural drawing, scientific and technical works. Magazine, I know they mean them is the chimpu. Calendar crowd what they be bow them and we to VAT. Calendar. Now what they be check it date calendar. Open diary I will chilling. Mansi na catch for that they be bukita that diary we to VAT. Pen we to VAT. A4 sheets we to VAT. Paper we to VAT. Stapler kra no stapler utu about 15% stapler office nyema ye didi adwuma nyina yes say ma bo man no kro no asika na sa IMF for $600 million em sika na sa nteze no mu kukuru ya kosoro na mo de eti arefo ma propro ye ho na chese de aka ye botom nyina ma san so afa na bone ben ene ye de aya Alhaji Bawumia owo position Gina simply so say, Montu abamaye na me move Ghana from taxation to production. and then or the VAT at our petition. A pure kakra, and Rantia, I would say, way Munina, Mobile, and the other half and so VAT. Yeah, and say, Benina, snap spirit, let's snap the spirit. Yeah, the 20% also. Alomo bitters, yeah, the 20%. Oh, Sansa Winina. Abuzio flighter, Oberfasa and Ewutu Kwaya Kosumiane, Tamale, Takrade, Ana Obankai, Kumase, say ye hour, say ye passion, say ye dien, local flight in Naso, 15%, yeah, the ato bonus. And then we try local flight back where renable. Maybe a local flight word, near sounds only 15% about Betoso. These are the same people of more opposition, most of them TV that say about taxi domestic flights. These are the same people. They say, car is a transportation of passengers by road. Car, and also a better VAT. Yes. Chata passenger car and also obituary VAT. And I got something duty, the only leader canon. The auction say, and I dare be our better. An agreement be our best sign, contract be our best sign, lease be our best sign, a dare be our better. What's what they call Lands Commission co register be another call a binding a soye, a buy a soye be echo register be and also so stamp duty no, ya tutum boom 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 boom. Omuwe and yanonko. Almost a car say what Ghana yina. Obi e ba betu ato tete sika no 1 million enu ti wo car no say ye tro say wo di ye Uber say ye private car mo ba mi mu say bi no mu twi car mu nyina say ye Okada say ye Mahama Kandu say ye Pragya say ye Aboboya say wo car no e yusu petrol na diesel de ye je 1 million tete sika ni mo afibia no mu wia omo se musie omo a omo produce musie e wo Ghana so ye bere wo musie no dodo na no so ye di atwa to di ama enti musie no 1 ton bia e 100 Ghana abusiafo areho asefem taxation to production for asem ne yake alaji bawomia asem ne yake nti ye be measure musie ne te say the leader kan na yes musie no ye ra ye be 50 tons nti 100 times 50 5,000 Ghana cedis se we mutua ade o man ya mo se ye nyo ohia man enyo ma be nyaku fa na ka so man nyo ohia man ya mo bododo ye ti sika so de an e kom and what tax ya the tax e-levy mo de ba mo se ye tua e-levy wi a akoba uti ye o ya e-levy we ye free yo ya e-levy wa wo pe kwan e-levy wa wo pe hospital e-levy ye tua mo da so je ye covid levy be si ne ni nyina anso mu di enwusie tax e na be so mu di na wa we na ntwe na wa mea kusinam de na kusinam be ya ma enti abusuafo areho na ensem ni nyina nkamfu ado de ye ka ne se san hihye ye omodi be ela ye omodi be ya Keti Hamon and Yabresa, and Abusiafo. Yes, so person who will be subai amani to me. Papa Onya may minister Crabon, and yem Obia Otibi and no dig Ghana Ranti in Atem. Na ye mrawe diamano. No, never bet and more do I was on the bagana. Fish do I was on the bagana. Akoko do I was on the bagana. One the very any markets of about licenses and normal licenses. It's a free say, I say, Papa. Nadia. Don't come a woman PENDREAM ni NDC amanyuko ye kan say yan quiet to me because in praying yeah 137 members spend a work PENDREAM minimum can say binu leader yan PC so say o china budget on bebo agu but we forget to say they are only 137 now 137 impu mo hwe eko mo de koma o my Ghana mo hwe kasa o mo de kasama o my Ghana abato mo nzunzanzo se ne ye ne ye wododo a nkasa anyama we nyina enka emma se ye marketi hamon o le sa de we a ena ye ka sei o wo mrahye bedwum a wo ye de obetumi bia so obeli because although we say aban ne mra aka was aban ne co-position no esua aka afepe na aban ne co-position enti oni alaji ba wo mia sika o mo de be yo mo campaign no mo dwe ho yemfa mra ne mra ntem na je say yemenya tumi ne yenya sika dia ye campaign ti nani abre ade chi ade san. Look at all the problems in trade which is supposed to fix. Emra we ni hia no. We ne be manaba be ye te se mukasa e wo so. We ne be manaba be ye Idi Amin wo so. We nya tumi agu amanfo nyuma. E dia promote ono ane cartels. If this law is passed, e be du ba bi no. Eye abusuafo bi nkoa e no mo be kra mo abagana. Eye party fo bi nkoa e be kra asikyira abagana. Na nya asem ne yanka wo se wo ye mra no se ne be ya nyema ye produce no wo Ghana no etimi akoso ama ya produce no mo na de biza ne se Ghana ye produce asikyire wa asikyire se ne ye produce enti asikyire da so ye emu you cry your capacity adodo wo se enu nti e na nya se we are just criticizing uti ensem a Dr. Tofosi aka o se in principle se ye mra na ye fan control enye madodo a ye kraba oman mu no NDC amanyoko ye foaso wa wo beka se won foaso no na se bi wonni oman ne hodo e wo se yetimi yes ade no wo hyehye na nya Ghana nko a na ye bibisa Nigeria o ma yes anyema ni bi but enye kwan we so ne wo se ye fa ye den eye no se ye pese ye restrict imports a ye the alternative number wo betumi aka se ya ye nhwehwemu ye wo data idea dance ye se ba na mo a ye wo local producers a on betumi a produce ebia 20% of a mo a Ghana for ye di na afibia enam senti ya hyemra wa wo pesa wo de mo ba Ghana bia no wo beto 20% of sa mo no from Ghana tietia enya afa na wo kwakọ ya application ya kwakọ ma nipa baako no no dia ma 11 member committee no mo tena so wia abane ho no no aka se emo no me ma ho ma. Look at the existing domestic production capacity and set transparent quotas. You can bring whatever quantity. This is a free market economy. Ghana and Saudi Arabia. So allow people to do business freely. Allow people, the person de banman famra, but I didn't be Ghana and I person promote to made in Ghana. Utimisha mrase, dodo na wo de be free Ghana, me show percentage bi wo wa ton wo Ghana. John Mahama aban AAB 2014 for poultry farmers. Mobile maba be ye free wo. Ama mo financiers la bianca no me no mo de poultry na ba ma se poultry adwuma no. Na say na president Mahama ka ho asem. Wo gu poultry adwuma na wie. Mo ko na poultry dodo wa Ghana poultry farmers produce 20% of our consumption in 2016 of poultry was produced by Ghana. And then about 4.5%. Wo gu na wie na aka we injury time no. And I would say I'm raboni we bana adabraka yesomwa enye ye enti wonsom oni nipa de ene machebedwafo a ejina bo ma NDC e kan se omodwen oman hu politicians nyina ye nyepe ye wo papa ne ye wo bone. And we are telling you, our friends in the media, say as you know, do critical points. We have a voice, we have power as a people. If we stand together and support our minority MPs through protest, through advocacy, on social media, on our various networks, pressure was a better bind so na samra boni we omo to twini baby no o ma yesa onyame nka mo yeda mos.